He's just asking you about these two legs, and he's asking you, do you have any recollection of these two legs of the flight?
No, I remember the wedding very well and all the stuff that happened, but that's all. I don't remember the coming or the going.
Thank you. In September of that year, we have the trip that I think a lot of folks are aware of. This is a trip to Africa in September of 2002. The trip started at JFK, ended in London, stopped in Ghana, Nigeria, Rwanda, Mozambique, and South Africa. Some high-profile figures were on board, including actor Kevin Spacey and comedian Chris Tucker, as well as Mr. Epstein and Miss Maxwell. I will introduce those flight logs as Minority Exhibit H. I'll give you a moment to receive them.
Thank you.
Go ahead and receive that, Doug. Smack in the ear. Smack.
H. Thank you very much.
Smack. Yeah, Doug, this is crazy coming to you on 86, baby.
So this is a two-sided document, and the flights are the bottom half of the first page and one flight at the top of the second page.
Starting at the 21st?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Starting there.
I'll just ask you generally before we look at the log specifically. What is your recollection of how this trip to Africa came about?
Well, this is where most of our work was going to be done. And what month is this?
This is, I believe, September of 2002.
So, and the countries we were going to represent places where we had operations. Like Mozambique, for example, had a big AIDS problem, and we were trying to help. And there was, so that's what I know. Well, we, in South Africa, we spent quite a bit of time because I wanted to go see Mandela. He was still in good shape then. And we did things together. And then Charlene Hunter Galt, who was one of the Black women that integrated the University of Georgia and became then a very well-known international television commentator for PBS. And her husband, Ron, had moved down to South Africa. And they were longtime friends of mine. We had celebrated the 150th birthday of Arkansas together in Little Rock. We were longtime friends. And so we went to visit them, and she threw a big cookout for us. And it was a funny time. Chris Tucker and Kevin Spacey imitated me.
So a lot of these names on the logs are hard to make out. Do you have any specific recollection of who was on board those flights?
He's not asking you to review and try and see if you can read their names. He's asking you what your
No.
recollection is.
It says Shante Davis was, and she worked for Jeffrey.
And I think it was discussed in the previous round, but that well-known photograph of yourself and Miss Davies, what is your recollection of the extent of your interactions with Miss Davies on that trip
Where were we?
in Africa?
No, where was the photograph?
I think it was at the airport
Oh,
on the way to.
that's it. I mean, we had a good relationship, but it was entirely proper. I never had any personal contact with her, if that's what you imply.
And am I right that while on that trip, whether the trip or the flights, did you ever witness or become aware of sexual abuse of any kind?
I did not.
What's up, guys?
Thank
I'll hop in here real quick.
Thank you,
Over to
Mr.
the
President.
general
Thank you. We
pass.
have a
Yeah,
series of
okay.
questions from some of the members in the minority.
Be right back.
And so I'll be calling them up as we go through.
For new
And thank you. Just want to again thank you for being here and answering all the questions.
on Main
We
Street,
appreciate that and for your service.
we'll show you.
Just two clarifying questions. One that was asked during the Republican hour, and I just want to have you reiterate it for the record. Either during or after your presidency,
Well,
Were you ever made aware of Jeffrey Epstein having any kind of relationship, directly or indirectly, with a foreign intelligence agency or service? And I ask because we've received a lot of interest and communication about that topic. And so I want to give you a chance to answer that again if there's anything.
No, I
else.
wasn't, and I understood why now when you showed me the passport, but I wasn't, I didn't know anything about that.
Thank you. And then second, of course, this deposition also sets a pretty new precedent, I think, which is something that we've been discussed and folks in across the country are discussing as well. We're thankful that you're here. We believe in the minority that President Trump should also answer this committee's questions. He's someone that is mentioned almost more than any other person beside Ghislaine Maxwell in the Epstein documents. And so to get more information for this investigation, was wondering if you also agree that President Trump should answer questions of this committee.
That's for you to decide, but he did know him well, and I once had a brief discussion with him about it.
Thank you. Thanks for the answer. With that, I'm going to go to Mr. Walkinshaw, and we'll go down a series of questions.
I hate this, but because I don't believe I should inject anything. But I do not want to leave the impression, but since there was no follow-up question, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. He just said we were friends. And then we had a falling out over a land deal, property deal. That's all.
Thank you.
Could I ask very briefly, Mr. President,
Sure.
if you recall, what were the circumstances of that conversation? Or at least let's start with, when did the conversation occur?
It was on his golf course. And there were a couple of years there when Joe Torre, who had been the manager of the Yankees and was a friend, and had a tournament, a charity golf tournament, called appropriately for this investigation, the Safe at Home Foundation. And it was designed to combat domestic violence, of which Joe Torre had been a victim as a child. And so I wanted to support it. And so Donald Trump gave him the golf course in New York to have a tournament on, and I played in it a couple of times. And the day I was there, he would typically, Donald Trump would come out and play a few holes with us. And he somehow knew I had flown in Jeffrey Epstein's aircraft, and he said, you know, we had some great times together over the years, but we fell out, all because of a real estate deal. And he said, I'm sorry it happened. That's all.
Do you recall whether President Trump was the first one to affirmatively bring up the subject of Jeffrey Epstein?
No, but I'd be shocked if I did. I just don't do that.
Do you recall whether President Trump elaborated at all on the great times that he had with Jeffrey
No.
Epstein?
No, and at the time, I didn't put any, sexual spin on it.
And as far as you recall, President Trump characterized the nature of the ending of their friendship as being solely due to the real estate
That's
bidding
what he
process.
said.
Thank you.
But I didn't think much about it at the time. And, it was 2 minutes and then we were gone.
As far as you recall, have you had any other conversations with President Trump related to Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
No,
And your best recollection, if you have one, of the year that this conversation occurred?
maybe 2002 or 2003.
Thank you.
But
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon. I just want to focus again on Ghislaine Maxwell. First, I'll ask you just to reiterate, did you ever at any point during your interactions with Ms. Maxwell know about the sexual abuse she committed and facilitated against minors and women?
No.
When did you learn that she had engaged in crimes against girls and young women?
When the first evidence came out, when was it, in 2019?
Okay. And have you ever engaged in sexual activity with a person introduced to you by Ghislaine Maxwell?
No.
You're aware that she was convicted of crimes, as we discussed, and you're aware that she's currently incarcerated as a result of her federal conviction.
Yes.
Maxwell received a 20-year sentence for her crimes. Are you aware that she has repeatedly called on President Trump to grant her clemency, and that she has said that you and President Trump are not guilty of any wrongdoing with respect to Epstein?
I know that now, yes.
In your opinion, does she deserve or should she be granted clemency by President Trump?
I don't think I should comment on that. I don't know anything about President Trump other than what I've already told you. And I thought that was a mistake to pardon everybody in the January 6th case. And I think that this thing was really hard for me when it came out because we had been friendly with Ghislaine. I was sad, but it was terrible what she did, and she has to be punished. Somebody besides me should make a decision on what it is. So she got 20 years, and there it is.
Okay. Mr. President, on July 24th, 2025, the Deputy Attorney General and President Trump's former personal attorney, Todd Blanche, conducted a closed-door interview of Ms. Maxwell at her then low-security prison. On August 1st, 2025, just a few days after that interview, she was transferred to a lower security prison where she is afforded a list of amenities, personalized meals, playtime with puppies, a transfer that I think most Americans agree is inconsistent with a very serious crime she was convicted of. Do you have any opinion on her transfer to that lower security prison and the amenities she's been granted? Did it seem strange to you when you learned of that?
I think you're in a better position to find out what happened than I am.
Okay. When you were president of the United States, was it common for your Deputy Attorney General to directly conduct interviews of witnesses and/or federal inmates?
Was it? You were there.
You have to testify
could-
what you know,
he's
what you
asking-
recall.
Yes, he's
You
asking,
recall if it
did
was-
you ever send a deputy attorney general to?
To the best of my knowledge, I did not do that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
May I ask a question? Representative Foster, are you still the youngest person in Congress?
Yes, I am, Mr. President.
Lucky you.
Hopefully that changes soon. If you're the youngest for too long, it's not good.
Come a time, believe me. I was for most of my life the youngest person doing whatever I was doing. And one day I woke up, I was the oldest man in every room, and I couldn't tell you for the life of me how I got from one place to the other. Time will take care of it. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a blessing to be the oldest person in the room as well. Mr. President, I just wanted to circle back to the conversation around the conversation you had with Jeffrey Epstein on the golf, or with Donald Trump on the golf course in New York. You know, President Trump has said publicly multiple times that his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein was the result of him hiring away workers from Mar-a-Lago and his crimes. He said that's why he kicked them out of Mar-a-Lago. You brought up two questions about this. Did President Trump specifically characterize the result of this land dispute they had as a falling out specifically, to the best?
Yeah, he said they both wanted the same piece of land.
Mhm.
He didn't say what it was, and that's all I remember.
And he said it was a falling out as a result of that.
Yeah, said it strained their relationship.
Do you know when this conversation happened?
When the conversation I had with him happened,
Mm,
well, it had to be in 2002 or 2003, I think.
2002, 2003. All right, thank you. During any of your interactions with Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, did either of them ever mention or discuss their relationships or connections with Howard Lutnick?
No,
What about their relationship or connection with Alex Acosta?
no,
Prior to Jeffrey Epstein's arrest in 2019, did anyone ever speak with you about Epstein's relationship with Howard Lutnick?
no,
And what about Alex Acosta?
no.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
I'm Melanie Stansbury. I represent New Mexico's 1st Congressional District, and it's an honor to have
Thank
you and your council here. This is a very important investigation, and we obviously have a lot of questions. And for me personally, this case is all about justice for the victims. And I really appreciated in your opening statements, your statement about nobody being above the law, including a president. And I think it's important that we are setting the precedent for Congress establishing oversight and subpoena power over a president. And I believe Donald Trump should and will ultimately be in front of this body. And I also appreciate what you said about women and girls who were abused by Jeffrey Epstein deserving justice and healing. And that's where I'd like to focus my questions. And in particular, I want to focus on 3 survivors who have shared stories that involve you. So I want to begin with Maria Farmer. Do you know who Maria Farmer is? Maria Farmer was employed by Jeffrey Epstein and abused by him for a number of years. And she first reported her abuse to the New York PD and FBI in 1996. And she states that she has personal knowledge that you visited Jeffrey Epstein's house 3 to 4 times while you were the sitting president between 1995 and 1996. And she says she knows this based on photographs that Ghislaine Maxwell showed to her, as well as discussions with the staff. So let me ask you, Mr. President, did you visit Jeffrey Epstein's house while you were president?
I do not remember doing that. I do not believe I did.
How do you explain this discrepancy?
Objection calls for him to speculate.
I can't speculate. But all I can tell you is I don't remember being there.
Okay. Moving on to Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Are you familiar with her? As has already been established, she has stated in numerous sworn statements, including a sworn deposition in the Maxwell trial, that she saw you on the island with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, this morning, her family shared her diary with me. And in it is a quote wherein she writes, quote, Bill Clinton met 2 times island with 2 girls, CTGM and JE. What is your reaction to that?
It's not true.
Do you have any dates associated with that? Were there dates on the diary? with
I
respect
don't have that information, but we'll be happy to share it with you.
to- Terrific, because I think there are also records that would reflect where else he would have been. So thanks.
Did she say that in her book?
This is from her personal diary that her family shared with us.
But the book came out more recently. Did she say that in the book?
I'm just reading you the entry from her diary that her family shared with me.
I think she ultimately reached a different conclusion, although I had no contact with her.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that it's on the record that is Virginia Giuffre's statement. Did you ever fly in a helicopter with Ghislaine Maxwell?
Ever, anywhere? I have no idea.
Okay, well, at least one of the survivors claims that you flew in a helicopter with Ghislaine Maxwell to the island.
Did you ever?
Then I did not do that. I've never been to that island.
Okay. The third person I want to talk about briefly is Shantae Davies. I know we've already mentioned her here today. I know you've already mentioned that she was listed as a flight attendant on the trip to South Africa in 2002 that you took with Jeffrey Epstein. Are you aware that Shantae Davies is a survivor who claims she was abused for 3 years, including during that time period?
I am now.
And are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein recruited his victims through calling them masseuses?
No,
You're not aware that
but
Jeffrey,
it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I didn't know that, no.
knowing that Jeffrey Epstein recruited hundreds of minors as masseuses to massage him, and knowing that this victim, who was a survivor 3 years of his sexual abuse as a masseuse, was on the plane, does that make you think about the massage you received from her differently?
Can I just interrupt? You're saying knowing, you know that. He was saying that he was unaware that that's how Mr. Epstein was recruiting his
Well-
individuals.
I'm asking if today, hearing
Have you
this,
seen the picture?
I have a copy of it right here. Yes.
Well, I'm sitting up and
I'm just asking if now that you know that Jeffrey Epstein recruited girls as masseuses, does that reframe that photograph, and knowing that there were girls on the plane that were being abused?
Now that I-
Objection. It states facts not in the record. You can ask this witness what he thinks or remembers about anything that happened, but I don't think it's right to ask him to speculate.
she wants to know if I feel bad about it. Yes.
I'm not, I
Don't
think
you?
what I'm trying to get at is that there is a culture that surrounded Jeffrey Epstein in which rich and powerful people saw young women that were survivors who were being abused and didn't say anything and didn't do anything. And
So is your
part of
question-
what hold on. Part of what I'm trying to do is to ask you, we know there was a survivor that was on the plane. You've stated that you didn't know she was a survivor. I understand that, but I'm asking now that you are aware that Epstein was recruiting survivors as masseuses, does this make you rethink what you saw as you were traveling and interacting with him?
Okay, so he has already spoken to,
I
no,
like-
wait a minute. I want to make sure that you are clearly answering her question. He's already stated what he saw and what he knew. And so what you're now asking him is, given what you've now shared with him, does he think any differently about what he
Yes.
saw and what he knew? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I wish Shantae had told me. I liked her.
Mhm.
But I didn't think it was anything unusual. I can't tell you how many airplanes I've been on where rich people asked me to go and they had someone offering a massage. You know, all these boats that you go on and all that, they all do that. And usually I don't do that. I'm not into this.
Well, that certainly raises some other questions about people offering free massages on boats, et cetera. But I do want to enter a couple of exhibits into the record. And I know council is prepared to pass them out. And while that is occurring, we're going to introduce this exhibit. What is it? Exhibit I, it'll be Minority Exhibit I, which is a FBI PowerPoint that was included in the files that were released as part of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And then I would like to introduce this exhibit, which is Exhibit J, which is a internal correspondence emails between the FBI. And though I'm short on time, what I'll describe in both these exhibits is that your name appears in FBI tip sheets as having attended parties in Jeffrey Epstein's presence in which sexual activities were occurring. Did you ever attend a party of any kind or an event with Jeffrey Epstein in which sexual activities
No.
were occurring? Okay. And then finally, there will be many millions of people that watch this deposition. What would you like to say to the survivors directly?
That I hope this will produce a sense of finality. And I don't think that'll happen till the government starts holding on to all the records. I think that, the record should be released. And then I think that we need to come up with strategies to help people who can't get over this, get better. And the most important thing we do, I think, besides treat the victims right, is increase the guardrails that will set off alarm systems and stop other people from doing the same thing Epstein did.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had an additional member join us in the interim. Could that member just identify themselves?
Absolutely. Hello, Mr. President. My name is Nick Langford. I represent New York's 23rd Congressional District, Buffalo Suburbs, rural southern tier. Thank you for being here today.
Could you just, for the record, the time check?
We've got about 5 minutes left in this round.
Thank you so much.
I think it's fine. Congressman, how are you?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for being here and for your time today. Thank you for your service. We have, as you know, in the files that were released, there were several photos included you. And we have an exhibit here. That's just one of the photos. And Exhibit K, Minority Exhibit K.
Yep.
And we'll have that passed around. And what we're trying to get at is some context for the public on whether you remember this photo and any details you may be able to provide us about it. So do you recall the details of this photo, or recall the photo being taken?
No, I don't think I ever knew the photo was taken.
Okay, and for those who can't see it, it's a photo of you in a hot tub. There's a person next to you here. Do you remember where it was taken? Where was it taken?
I'm almost sure that this taken, I think there's an adjacent photograph, which you probably have. That if people saw it, they would feel that someone was trying to con them showing this picture. But anyway, this picture was taken in Brunei. And we flew one night on a trip to Asia, the last very long leg.
You said we, is it, who is that including?
Well, my TIL team that was working
Thank you.
on the AIDS issue, and Mr. Epstein was there, and
Okay.
Miss Maxwell. But anyway, we got to the end of the flight was Brunei. It's a tiny place, but a very wealthy one. And the Sultan of Brunei was a man that I had gotten to know well in my 8 years as president. And his first involvement with international matters is basically to join the Asian Pacific Economic Leaders Conference, which I started and which he attended. And so, and then he was very proud of that. And he hosted, his time came to host it. You know, you do these things in rotation. And it came at either at the very end of my term or maybe the next year. Anyway, he wanted, when he knew I was coming, and he said he wanted to help me with my AIDS initiative, and he invited me to stay there. And he said, I want you to stay at this hotel, and I hope you'll use the pool. So I did. And then I got out and went to bed exhausted.
Just for the record, there's another picture that also shows this as part of the larger pool area. Do you all have that so that he can refresh his recollection with respect to that?
You should have it. It's quite enlightening. If you watch this,
Yes, it's noted.
it'll
Yes.
give you a different feel.
Thank you.
Okay,
We don't have it with us right now.
okay,
We do.
thanks. I just
have
wanted
it
to
as
make
well.
sure he knew the
And so
context.
were there other people in that pool or hot tub with you as well?
I don't think there's anybody in the hot tub. I didn't forgotten that there was anybody in the hot tub, but it was big, but it was about,
Well,
He's asking in the pool
it appears
area,
this photo, there's a girl over here, or there's someone.
yeah, I don't know who that is.
but he's also asking in the pool area were there other
Yes,
individuals?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so you don't know?
No, and then there were other people in the pool.
Okay, so do you remember were they under 18? Would you
No.
know?
Were they part of your traveling party, he's asking you?
Yes, they were, I think. I think everybody there was part of our party. It was late at night or late-ish. And I also believe that there was a Secret Service agent there at the other end of the pool.
Okay, and was this in public?
No, it was a hotel room, and the Sultan wanted us to stay there, and the water, this big pool, was on the same floor that there were several suites, and so we went out, I swam around, I sat in the hot tub for 5 minutes, or whatever it was, and I got up and went to bed.
And then I have to ask this, did you engage in any sexual activity
No.
with this person? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and that ends this round and we can go off the record.
All right, we'll go back on the record.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Ready to go?
Yep, we'll start with them.
Wonderful. Hello, Mr. President. How are you?
Fine.
Good. Thank you so much for being here with
Thank you
us.
for being hoarse.
Oh, you're fine, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to make my questions as quick and as painless as possible so we can move on with the day and hopefully not keep you here for too long. First question I have for you, Mr. President. Have you ever lied in a deposition?
No,
Have you ever lied while under oath?
no,
Thank you. Were you personally aware that Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House 17 times during your presidency?
at the time it happened,
Yes.
no, at the time it happened, I was not.
Do you know, so Jeffrey Epstein never asked to meet with you personally in the White House while you were president during those 17 visits?
Not to my knowledge,
Would you know who he was meeting with?
no.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't know he was coming.
is that standard protocol for the president to not know of someone who is attending, visiting the White House 17 times
So wait, excuse me, just to be clear.
while you were
The
president?
White House office, which has 1,600 employees, you're speaking of the White House office. Yeah?
Yes.
No, I think that most presidents don't have a clue who's coming in every day unless it's somebody of personal interest to the president.
Yes, and you did have a familiar relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, correct?
No, I wasn't aware I'd ever met him when I was president.
While you were president. We are trying to establish if Jeffrey Epstein was a foreign or potentially even a domestic asset of some kind. Do you have any reason to believe that he was trying to seek access to classified materials, intelligence reports, or sensitive government information?
No, I knew nothing about this story until it came up. I was glad to see that picture of the
Yes, and
phony
Mr. President,
passport.
sorry to interrupt you. Mr. President, since knowing Jeffrey Epstein and knowing that he had visited the White House, were there any conversations from your associates, any White House staff, or anyone familiar with the meetings that said he was seeking detailed information about government relationships?
He's asking you
Does
with
that
respect
question
to-
relate to back in the day or now? What's the time of the question?
I'm asking, since you have been aware, any time since after you were aware that Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House 17 times, has there been any conversations with anyone that you are aware of that Jeffrey Epstein was seeking sensitive government information?
She's asking to the best of your recollection.
To the best of my knowledge, no.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And moving on, at any time while you were traveling on any aircraft owned, leased, or otherwise affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein, did you engage in sexual relations or sexual activities with anyone other than your wife?
No,
During any such flight, did you witness or have knowledge of any other individual engaging in sexual activities with any female passengers?
no,
In 2002, you participated in a 10-day multi-country trip to Africa while traveling on a Boeing 727 owned by Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. This trip was organized by Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you recall this trip, Mr. President?
I recall the trip, but I don't know that it was organized by Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yes,
I
sir.
believe we were going places that I needed to go for my work in Africa.
Yes, sir. Internal FBI records describe the aircraft as having a section with couches adjacent to which a sliding glass door leading to another compartment. There was a bed. Are you familiar with the layout of this aircraft that you traveled on?
I'm familiar with the fact that there was a bench that turned into a bed at the end of the passenger seats.
And no other bed you are familiar with? Did you ever go into any part of the aircraft with a bed that you perhaps lied on or utilized?
I'm familiar with the bench.
Yes,
It turned into the bed.
yes.
I do not believe I ever went into the back section.
At any time while traveling on such aircraft, do you remember utilizing either the bench that laid, I'll keep it as one option for now. Do you remember utilizing the bench as a bed? Was it laid out as a
Asking, do you
bed?
remember?
I don't remember, but that doesn't mean I didn't. I'm familiar with the note.
Yes, sir. FBI internal records relay testimony from Dr. Greg Bledsoe, who participated on the 2002 Africa trip. Did Dr. Bledsoe describe multiple millionaires? Dr. Bledsoe does describe multiple millionaires and billionaires on the plane. Do you remember any of the names of those individuals, potentially even the actor Kevin Spacey?
Yeah, Kevin was on the plane.
Did Dr. Bledsoe also describe, he also describes multiple young women were present on the flights and that Maxwell appeared to be in a position over the girls on the plane and was directing the girls. Can you describe the purpose of these women participating in this
Objection to
country
form of the
trip?
question. You have no
Sure.
objection to you asking the president what he saw, observed, heard, but he can't possibly speak to what Maxwell was in her mind.
Did you witness, Mr. President, Ms. Maxwell appearing to be in the position over other girls on the plane and possibly directing the girls?
Well, I thought that she was Epstein's top aide and that she was basically in charge of what happened.
What did happen, Mr. President?
I don't know. I mean, I've already told you this. I'll tell again. I never saw anybody do anything wrong. I thought they were flight attendants.
Do flight attendants typically wear tank tops and jeans?
They don't all wear uniforms on private planes.
Yes, sir. Most are dressed probably pretty business class. But
So
moving
wait,
on.
His testimony was, with respect to private aircraft, people are not wearing uniforms.
Mhm. Correct.
Go ahead.
Dr. Bledsoe described at least one of the girls serving as a masseuse. At any point, did you or other male passengers receive a massage from this young woman or any other young women who are described as a masseuse?
Well, I've seen one picture that shows that in a airport waiting area, one of the women was massaging my neck. That's all I've seen.
Have you received more than one massage from these trips with Mr. Epstein and the young girls that were present?
I don't recall them, but the problem I remember from that trip was that my neck had spasmed and I was in, and so they offered to help and I let them help. One left.
She asked whether or not you recalled any other massage.
No, I
trips.
do not.
Thank you. Mr. President, moving on to my next question. Submitted to the record, we have a painting that seems to be of you, Mr. President, found in one of Jeffrey Epstein's residences wearing a, I would categorize it as a famous blue dress worn by the White House intern, Monica Lewinsky. And I have this image here. This image is being passed around. If we need to go off the record while we do that, we can.
I can take a
Okay.
picture.
So
Do you have a question?
It will be
Yeah, I do.
marked as Majority Exhibit 15. Proceed.
thank you. So Mr. President, we are looking at an image of a portrait that is looks to be you, Mr. President, in this blue dress. Can you describe this painting? And
He doesn't need to describe the painting. You just gave him a picture. What's your question?
my question is, are you familiar with this painting? Have you ever seen it in person?
I've never seen it in person.
Do you know why someone would paint this?
Are you asking him to
Objection. That's
speculate?
calls for speculation. You can ask the artist.
And if I had known Jeffrey Epstein had this painting, it would have saved me this whole day.
Did you ever introduce Epstein to Monica Lewinsky or any other young female White House
I
staffers?
did not.
Did Epstein ever request introductions to young female intern staffers of you? Did he request you to introduce them? And one regarding this exhibit 15, this portrait, to the right of this image, there appears to be a plain letterhead document that is framed in a gold frame. Are you familiar with
That he's testified that he's not seen this picture?
the painting we asked? Yes. And now I'm asking about the image next to it. So
And are
this
you
is-
asking whether or not he's familiar with what's in this small frame?
I'm the part that you have covered up.
This
I'm
part?
asking if he's familiar with this letterhead letter
There's no
that was
letterhead that we can
Is this
see.
part of the painting?
No, sir. This is next to the painting and it's framed on the wall in the home of Jeffrey Epstein. I guess a better way to ask, other than the birthday note that was passed around here today for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday, Mr. President, did you ever handwrite Jeffrey Epstein any other notes?
Well, I wouldn't remember except that I've seen a picture recently of another note where I thank him for getting me away from the crowd on the airplane for a while so I could take a nap.
Yes. Okay, Mr. President, I just have two more questions for you and then I will let you go. And again, I'm so grateful for your time here today. We also have another exhibit from the committee, and it's page 49, I believe. And the, how do you want to classify this one?
They'll give it
It
to
will
us.
be marked as Majority Exhibit 16.
In this is a portion of Virginia Giuffre and her testimony. And in it, she is referencing you, Mr. President, and says he, Mr. Clinton, told me long ago that everyone owes him favors. They are all in each other's pockets. She's asked, I'm sorry, maybe that wasn't you that you was referencing, Clinton. I'll start over. He told me long ago that everyone owes him favors. I believe that's referring to Mr. Epstein. They're all in each other's pockets.
Sorry, could you show, what line are you starting at?
Yes, ma'am. I am starting at the first line, and I do believe I incorrectly said that she was referencing Mr. Clinton. So to correct
So
that,
She's not representing,
Correct. She
she's
is
not
not referencing
referencing
Mr.
President
Clinton.
Clinton. She's referencing instead? Who?
I believe this is Jeffrey Epstein that she is referencing here.
Thank you, Ms. Bobo.
Thank you. And then she's asked, would you say you asked him why Bill Clinton was here? And Virginia responds on the island, where he was here on the island. And she goes on to say,
Excuse me, can you clarify who JS is?
can we look and see who JS
It says
is?
V and then it says
Yes.
JS. So is
Yes,
this
I will get you that name.
but this is a
pull it up
conversation
right
between
here.
two people, or is this a
Yes,
transcript of a
This
deposition?
is a transcript of a deposition, yes.
Thank you so
ma'am.
much.
It says telecon at the top. Doesn't appear to be a deposition.
It says,
What do we
Telecom.
have this as?
I'm not objecting.
No, that's fine. And we could go off the record if you want, just to get this.
I don't have this. Oh.
So this is, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll go off the
I think
record. We can go back on the record.
Thank you very much. And this is a long dialogue between Mr. Jack Scarola and Virginia Giuffre, and I will summarize this. It is mentioned by Virginia that everyone owes him, presumably Jeffrey Epstein here, favors. Mr. President, were you ever in the position to owe Jeffrey Epstein a favor?
I didn't consider that. I thought we had an understanding about the airplanes, that he would let me use the airplane to set up my AIDS programs around the world if I'd agreed to talk to him for an hour about economics and politics on every long leg. I kept my word and he seemed to honor his.
Were there any sensitive government topics ever discussed
Never.
in those conversations? And also here,
Just for the
Virginia,
record, did the court reporter get his response? Thank you so much.
thank you. Sorry, I'll try not to talk over you. Wrapping up here. Virginia Giuffre is also asked in this document.
The same one you handed us?
Yes, ma'am.
So we should be looking at
This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines down. JS is speaking. Were sexual orgies a regular occurrence on the island at Jeffrey's house? Yes. My question, Mr. President, were you ever aware or engaged in any of these sexual orgies?
Are these on the island where he's testified that he's
No,
not
ma'am,
been on the
I was
island?
never on the island.
Were you ever on any island in the Virgin Islands
To travel for a trip with his wife, which is on the public record? I'm
with
sorry, what's
Jeffrey
your question?
Epstein?
No,
You were never in the Virginia Islands,
in the
Virgin Islands
with
with
Jeffrey Epstein, no.
Jeff, okay, thank you. Mr. President, there's been new information that has come out regarding the autopsy of Mr. Epstein. I would just like to ask you personally and directly, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
Are you asking him to speculate on how Mr. Epstein died?
I'm asking what the president thinks of.
So you're asking his opinion?
Mr. President, was your friend Jeffrey Epstein
Are you
suicidal?
classifying him as a friend who he has testified that he was
has called him
friendly?
a friend in a letter.
He said he was friendly, but not, you've asked for his
Mr.
testimony here.
President, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein was suicidal?
Do you know?
Was he ever
She's asking for the
suicidal?
best of your
I
understanding.
don't know. I only know what the medical finding was. I think maybe
If that's it.
he finally got caught, and I don't know. I've accepted it in my own mind. I don't know what happened,
Mr. President, what did you accept? That he killed himself or that he did not?
but he did, but I don't know.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Neither do
Mr.
you. We
President.
don't, none of us know. We weren't there.
Mr. President, it's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, in the previous hour, you discussed your relationship with Ms. Maxwell, and I have a few general follow-up questions. And I may make you repeat yourself, but I'll try hard to not ask you questions you've already answered. First, can you characterize your relationship with Ms. Maxwell after your presidency?
Well, I didn't, to the best of my memory, I didn't see her very much until I started flying on Mr. Epstein's airplane.
And for the record, would you at any time ever consider her to be a friend?
Oh, yes, I would.
What years would you consider her to be a friend?
I don't know, when she started going with Ted Waite, I saw her more frequently because I saw him more frequently. Then she was around CGI. So if you compare the time I spent with her to the time I spent with Mr. Epstein, I spent more time and I felt that we were better friends.
How did you typically communicate with Ms. Maxwell?
When she showed up at something that I was doing or vice versa, like
So in person,
at CGI, yeah. I bet I never talked to her on the phone more than twice in my life.
And what were the nature of your communications with Ms. Maxwell?
What your call?
I don't recall anything. I don't recall what they were, but she was always, I don't know. She was very interested in CGI. I remember that. And that's it.
And for the record, Mr. President, did you ever have any communications with Ms. Maxwell related to young women or girls?
No.
At this time, I'd like to introduce will be marked as Majority Exhibit 17. And while it's being handed out, I will note for the record that this is the transcript from the two-day Ghislaine Maxwell interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, conducted by the Department of Justice on July 24th and 25th of 2025. And I will not be making you read the entire transcript. I will direct your attention when you've had a chance.
Okay.
Mr. President, have you seen this transcript prior to?
Before?
Yes.
No.
I would like to direct your attention to day 1, and we are looking specifically at the bottom of page 9.
Yep.
Are you?
And-
No, we need a copy down here.
Do we have a second copy and a third copy?
Give me 1 second.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
go
If you
off
can
the
pause.
record briefly. We will go back on the record.
Yep,
During Ms. Maxwell's interview, she stated that President Clinton was her friend, not Epstein's friend. Is that accurate?
I'd say that it was accurate to say that I felt closer to her than to him,
And for the record, why was that?
because I had seen her more and because she was very good friends with Evelyn Rothschild and his wife Lynn, whom I knew and was in regular touch with.
And then this part's in there too.
And
Okay.
You're on page 9.
That's good.
Just want to make sure you're reading the right section.
She characterized your relationship with her as warmer.
Is that
yes,
your
Would
question?
would you agree with that?
Warmer than with Jeffrey Epstein?
Correct.
oh yes, but it was not in any way sexual.
At this time, I'd like to direct your attention to day 2 of the transcript. And now we are looking at the bottom of page 12, and it is page
I see it.
258 and 259.
This is interesting.
Wait, pardon me. Sorry, I'm not with you. The bottom of page 12 says 42 to 45.
Of day 2.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Okay,
Day 2, page 12,
Yes.
page 252.
257 to 260.
Okay,
258 and 259.
okay, got it.
Can you hold for
No.
1 second? Can you wait?
What do you have? Two 259,
Correct.
got it.
Are you asking us to read that?
Yes.
All of 258 and all of 259?
Correct.
Okay, is there part of this you want me to read?
No,
No.
he has a question. He wants to make sure you've read through here
Two
and you've
pages.
read through here.
Okay.
He's asking about these two. You read them? This and this. No, you don't have to read the other part yet. Ready?
Yes, got it.
Mr. President, you've had a chance to review the transcript. Here, Blanche asks Maxwell if she has ever visited your home in Chappaqua, to which Maxwell testifies that she had been invited to visit your home. For the record, did Miss Maxwell ever visit your home in Chappaqua?
It wouldn't
Excuse me,
surprise-
counsel, the transcript says I went to the house. Does it say invited? Did I miss that?
Maxwell replies after Blanche asks,
Got it.
why
Sorry.
did you go to the
You're
house?
right.
Maxwell says, I was invited.
Got it.
I will repeat the question again. Did Miss Maxwell ever visit your home in Chappaqua?
I don't recall, but it's quite possible she did. Hillary was a senator. In the beginning, she had a lot of events there. And We knew her.
During the same exchange, Miss Maxwell implies that she may have been just driving past Chappaqua and stopped in if you were home. Did this ever occur?
If you don't.
Not that I remember, but I may not have been home.
But Mr. President, is it common for people to just stop by your house?
No. There
And for
are
the
more than
record-
one or two people who would do that.
So for the record, you're a former president. Does your security detail allow people to show up unannounced?
Well,
No.
they'd allow them to, but they don't, your question is whether or not the security allows them in.
Yeah, they have to be cleared to be able to come and go
Thank you.
like that.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to ask about Doug Band and
Okay.
what was Doug Band's relationship with you, sir?
Well, it changed over time, but he was basically the last in a long line of young men. They were my sort of body people. They were close to me and supposed to get me where I was trying to go on time and all of that. And then after he and another young man, Justin Cooper, wanted to come with me when I left the White House. When you leave the White House, they give you, you get, I don't know, a certain allocation for staff. And I think there are 9 positions you can put on federal health insurance. I think that's right. But anyway, Doug and Justin were 2 of them.
So I'd say he's pretty close.
What?
You were pretty close.
We were close, and Justin wrote my book with me. I mean, he did all the clerical work, and Doug was our main fundraiser when we started off.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Majority Exhibit, I believe it would be 18, which is the EFTA 02332287.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that.
So this is pretty short. This is an email from Doug Band to
Yep, I'm familiar with it.
GMAX, which is commonly known as Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yep.
It says, for the record, the email states, "You back? Another way to get in touch with me quicker is on my BlackBerry, actually the president's, but we share it." The email that's listed there, WJC, is that your email address? Or was that your email address?
Practically, no. That is, I never sent one email on it.
But you recognize that?
I recognized it, and I think Doug thought it would increase his cachet if he had an email with WCC on it. And
But he's asking you, is this your email, Mr. President?
no, I didn't send emails on it.
Did you share a BlackBerry with Mr. Band?
Well, he says we did, but I think I finally got another BlackBerry.
But this was back before. Okay, sorry, Mr. President, this is back in, think of the year, look at the year, so you make sure you're answering the question.
2001.
Did you have a phone in 2000? He's asking you, was this your BlackBerry or did you share this BlackBerry with him?
Well, I've been out of office then 9 months.
Did you have a phone, Mr. President?
I don't think I did. I don't, anyway. But the truth is, I don't remember. I just know that I did not email.
Okay. So you did not email. How often do you send emails? Or did you send emails?
Have you ever sent an email, Mr. President?
I sent one email to John Glenn, Senator John Glenn, when he was in space at age 77. And I sent an email to the men and women aboard a U.S. ship in the Adriatic during the Kosovo War.
Have you sent any other emails, Mr. President, he's asking.
Since then, I'm not sure I've sent one.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Majority Exhibit
I
number
know that makes me
19,
a certified,
which ends in 2335030.
yeah. Me too.
One goes to,
Okay, if you're ready, I'll be happy to read it out loud. It's, again, it's from GMAX, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, I read
We
it.
believe, while it's redacted, having seen the unredacted files, we believe that the two is to the same email. It says, sorry to hear about the Bellsburg stuff is bad news, even worse, that it may be damaging. You know that one of my pet fears is that in London, I am press toxic, so I hope that I never add to your woes in that department. If I hear anything, I will of course let you know. I could not help myself. There was one juicy little bit tidbit I did let out, the one about what a super stud that you are and how I have a crush on you and how you are hung like a horse. And well, you get the picture. Hope you don't mind. Are you familiar with this email?
are you saying at the time it was sent or in the preparation for this?
At the time that it was sent, were you familiar with it?
Oh, no.
Are you familiar with it before?
Yes, it's
Okay.
now famous.
Okay, what can you tell me about your knowledge of this email?
So if his knowledge is only from when he was prepared for this hearing, that would have been with his counsel, or is that what are you asking for outside of any preparation
Let me
for
ask
this
this.
hearing?
Mr. President, do you believe that Mr. Band sent this or received this email?
I do.
Okay. So, and there's more. Let me go to the next one. Exhibit, which would be number 20.
And the answer is, that I
No, wait a
don't
minute,
know about
there's
this.
no question.
At the time,
I would just ask you to clarify whether or not you're asking if he knows about these emails at the time they were sent, or if you're asking whether or not he came to learn about them in the course of preparation, just so that distinction in time is clear.
okay.
Unbelievable.
I believe this email is also very short. It's just at the top, again, it's from the WJC email, same one. And it says, this email is silly. I want to spank bottoms tonight.
Who's it from?
It's from the same email account, the same email that has been used before, the WJC email. What was your knowledge of Mr. Band's relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell?
I knew he was, basically, he contacted her in the same way that she represented Epstein on things. I did not know, nor did I need to know, that they had a personal relationship for
Did they
a
have-
while.
A physical relationship?
Are you asking him whether or not they had a physical relationship?
You believe they had a physical relationship?
I don't know for sure.
And
But
just to be
it's-
clear, you said it, but you did not have a physical relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell.
The president's
not.
answered that question multiple
Absolutely.
times.
Thank you. Okay, and finally, I want to move on to another question regarding the visits to the White House. Are you familiar with Mark Middleton?
Yes.
Can you describe who Mark Middleton was?
He was a young man from Arkansas who was really ambitious, wanted to go to work in Washington, wanted to have, and he knew Mac McClarty, my chief of staff, who was from Little Rock, and Bruce Lindsay, who was also from Little Rock. And he worked with us. And then later, I think he became, I don't know, but maybe he became a lobbyist later. But there was a period of time when he was in a position to wave people in to the White House because that was one of his jobs.
Okay. So he has been identified by multiple news sources to be the individual that most of the time was entering or signing in Jeffrey Epstein into the White House.
Yes,
And what role did he have specifically at that time?
he was working and, on logistical things in the White House, but there must have been someone else who he told him to let him in. Maybe Mark I don't know if he had the authority to let people
You
in.
can only testify to what you know. He's asking, who did Mark Middleton work for in the White House?
I don't know the answer to that. I
Okay.
can find that, but
So knowing that he met with Mark Middleton or was signed in with Mark Middleton, do you have any knowledge of the content of the meetings or the topics of the meetings that Mr. Epstein would be coming for?
no, Mac never said anything to me about meeting with him.
And by Mac, do you mean Mac McClarty,
Yeah.
Chief of Staff? Did he work for Mac McClarty?
Well, he might have been, but at the time, was this at the beginning of my presidency or at the end?
This would have been during the 90s at the beginning. when-
1993 to 1995 is what they provided before
Yeah,
the
he
period
was-
of time for the visits.
He was my first chief of staff, and then he became my special envoy to Latin America. So
And this is Mac McClarty.
I'm McClarty. So
Okay,
it depends on, well, we could tell what he was doing if we knew when this happened.
okay. Are you aware that Mr. Middleton committed suicide
Yes, I
in
am.
2022? He was found dead at Hefner Ranch, approximately 30 miles from his home in Little Rock. He was discovered hanging from a tree by an extension cord around his neck with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. So he was shot and hung. Do you have any information that leads you to suspect that he did something other than commit suicide?
No,
Do you have any concerns that this was in relation to his knowledge or relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, given the date?
But the president has
Of the
already
suicide?
testified to the fact that he was unaware that Mr. Epstein was visiting the White House. So are you asking him then as to what he would have known?
I'm asking, when you heard about the death, knowing about the things that have been, at this point, it's all over the news, seeing that he has committed suicide. Have you ever had any conversations with people about whether or not that there's any relationship between the two?
oh, no, no one's ever suggested it to me.
Okay, thank you. I yield back.
Next up, Mr.
It's really sad.
It is.
McGuire from Virginia.
He represents UVA. He represents UVA.
What about UVA?
He represents UVA.
Thank you, Mr. President, for being here. I served in Navy Special Warfare during your presidency.
Thank you.
In your opening statement, you talked about preventing future or more human trafficking in our country, and I agree with that. I think that's one of the big purposes of being here. Today, we hope we can get justice for the victims, have accountability and transparency. Just curious, have you read the Epstein files that have been released?
No. I've read many news stories about them, but I haven't read them all.
And how many Epstein files do you recall were released during the Biden administration?
I
If
don't
you
know.
know.
How many?
If you know.
I don't know.
0. And how many Epstein files have been released during President Trump's second term?
Again, if you know.
Thanks to the Congress and the victims, quite a number.
Over 3 million. Now, as president, you're chief of executive for the U.S. And as we get to the end of this, I'm going to ask you, what could we do to prevent? Because I think that's what we all care about, is what do we do to prevent more human trafficking type stuff? So let's talk about Kevin Spacey for a second. In a June 2024 interview on Piers Morgan, Kevin Spacey recounted noticing young girls on the flight and expressed he didn't want to be around this guy, Epstein, because it felt he put the president at risk. on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. So did Mr. Spacey ever communicate these concerns to you directly?
Not that I recall, no.
Did anyone else express similar concerns about these young people?
No,
Do you agree with Mr. Spacey's characterization that these young girls on the flight were concerned?
I'm sorry, what exactly is the characterization that Mr. Spacey gave?
That these young girls would put the president at risk?
So that's Mr. Spacey's concern. And you're asking him whether or not
Would he-
Mr.
would he agree
Spacey
with-
said that, shared that with him?
Would he, yes, would he agree with that?
I had no reason to believe that at the time.
Okay. Did you ever feel uncomfortable due to the presence of young girls on any of these flights?
When you say young girls, do you mean women who are younger than 18? And so you're saying there were women younger than 18?
I'm asking.
Yeah, if you can ask that question.
Were there anybody on the flights that you can recall under age 18?
To the best of my knowledge, there was not. If there was, and I knew it, I would be uncomfortable.
That answered. All right. Did you ever speak with or otherwise engage with, well, I think you just answered, young girls on these flights, so I'll move on. Ron Burkle, do you know him?
I do.
All right. Ron Burkle commented on the Epstein is creepy. I would like to introduce Majority Exhibit. And what's number? 21, Majority Exhibit 21, page 5. The paragraph at the top of the page, the last sentence. If you would take a look at that.
Could you say what page again?
Sure, it's page 5, the paragraph at the top, the last sentence.
If you could give us a minute to read it, that'd be
Sure.
great. No, page 5,
Top
this
paragraph.
paragraph.
And more specifically, the last sentence of the top paragraph.
Yeah, I didn't know about this.
So the question would be this. I understand you didn't know anything about it, but let me ask the question. You have no memory of this occurring, correct?
Excuse me,
Excuse me.
are you talking about Ron Burkle saying to the president?
Well, let me read the whole thing. Let me read the whole thing.
He didn't actually say, it doesn't say that.
Sources close to Burkle says he was invited by Clinton, assumed the rod was vetted, and flew home on a commercial jet after finding Epstein to be creepy. It appears that he saw that and he flew home early, but that be that as may. Do you have any memory of this occurring?
I don't.
Why do you think Mr. Burkle would think Epstein is creepy?
Are you asking
Objection,
for him?
speculative. He can't know what.
I don't know. Some people thought I shouldn't fly with him.
Did you witness anything unusual with Epstein that would lead you to believe that Epstein was creepy?
No, I never saw him do anything that I was suspicious.
And you don't recall Mr. Burkle leaving the trip early to fly home commercially after
I
finding?
don't know.
Okay.
I'm surprised I don't know that.
Sure. So who else in your circle? Because one of the concerns I have is how did someone who is convicted of trafficking humans, how did he infiltrate the highest level of government? If we could get to an idea or a lesson learned, we could prevent that from happening again. Who in your circle, while you were president or after in the Clinton Foundation, who else do you think we should question here?
Can I just clarify one thing? You said who had been convicted. He wasn't convicted at the time.
Epstein?
Yes,
No, I'm talking afterwards. So people that were associated with him because
after he was
because
convicted.
one of the questions would be is, why do you think Epstein visited the White House so much?
So he was convicted in 2008,
I believe so. I'm looking at my
and he
notes.
visited the White House in the 90s. So I'm just trying to make sure you're not speaking to before he was convicted. You're talking about after he was convicted?
So let me go back. So the thing is, he went to the White House many times, and he is connected to world leaders all over the place. Many people have resigned as a result of the Epstein files. So I'm just asking a neutral question, and that based on your experience as a world leader, what could we do to prevent predators like this from infiltrating the highest levels of the American government?
Well, when someone knows about it, should report it, and there should be a system set up to act on it.
Well, I agree with that. Is it true that in 2013, Ms. Maxwell was a guest at the Clinton Global Initiative Conference?
I don't know. When's the last year we had it?
2013 is one of the years where they're asking whether or not she was there.
I know.
Mhm.
I'm trying to,
So you can just,
off the top of my head, I don't know.
Well, I understand that she also attended your daughter's wedding.
She did.
And so understanding now the unspeakable evil that these people committed, do you believe it was a mistake allowing them close to your family?
are you asking if he knew at the time when she was at the wedding?
Looking back,
Looking back, I had no idea. If I had known what she was doing, I would have done the right thing.
understand. Well, I think that
But I also, keep in mind, I felt bad for Ted Waite, who was a very close friend of mine. And I never had any doubt about him, and still don't.
Roger that. Well, I think you would agree that we all want justice for the victims. We all want transparency and accountability. We want to strengthen our anti-human trafficking laws. President Trump has secured the border and gone after the cartels and even passed legislation to help human trafficking victims. What other legislation could we do based on your experience that would help stop trafficking in America, if not the world?
Well, first you need to ask people who know more about how people get over it. I mean, there's already been a large number of dollars put into settlements, but I think there must be damages to people that will take a lifetime to heal. So I think there needs to be a lot of study on that. And then I think there's the hotlines that where people make reports need to be taken seriously, and you need to follow up on them. And I think that the more we talk about it, the less likely it is that another big network will form.
Thank you for answering my questions.
I think you're doing a good, just having us talk about it is important.
Thank you.
Next will be Mr. Grothman from Wisconsin.
Can I get a time check?
You have approximately 15 minutes remaining.
What?
Approximately 15 minutes remaining.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. President. It's on here.
Yes, we can hear you.
Was Jeffrey Epstein on? You apparently took 26 flights on planes connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Was he on every flight you were on?
Was he on every flight I was
Yeah.
on? That's a
If you
good
know-
question.
If you know,
What?
if you know, their flight manifest, do
Yeah,
you know?
There'll be a record of it, but I think he was, or certainly on most.
You
of
think
it.
he was? Well, that's okay. Was Ghislaine Maxwell on every flight you were on, as far as you remember?
The same answer. I think she was, but there'll be a record of it.
Okay. When you took these flights, you're saying a lot of them were on behalf of your foundation or your charitable work, correct?
Yes.
Who did you normally bring on these flights? I assume, employees of the foundation, whatever.
I brought people who work with me, especially people who would have to follow up on the fundraising, or people who were involved in my AIDS work. I bought people who
Just like I never go anywhere alone. You never went anywhere alone, right?
What, no.
We always have an
And the
entourage.
secret, and I had the Secret Service with me. And then on occasion, I had people who had volunteered to help us and wanted to see what we were doing.
Right.
For example, I think it was on one of these trips, I think, that I had my first trip for the man who's now the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and his wife. They helped me get started. It's all a matter of public record.
Okay. As far as on your normal trips, could you rattle off, say, the 4 or 5 people connected to your foundation who you remember were most frequently on these trips or were most important on the trips? Could you give us the names?
Well, Doug Mann, Justin Cooper, Aaron Magaziner, and I can't remember who else. I'd be glad to look.
We'll give you a couple seconds to think. I can't remember who worked for me 10 years ago, so I don't expect you. But anybody else you can think
It
of?
was 24 years ago. I'll be glad to try to find out who else left.
Okay. But when you were on the plane, first of all, what did the plane look like when you got on? Could you describe what it looked like?
It was, at first it looked like a commercial airplane. You know, seats on both sides of the aisle. And typically our crew kind of filled it up for a few, however many people, depending on how many people we had. We had the staff and the friends of the foundation and people who were doing the work. Then we had
It's just like a boardroom halfway
yeah,
back.
and then we had the Secret Service further back. And that was it.
Okay. How would you spend your time on these flights? When you go to Asia or Sub-Saharan Africa, those are quite trips. What would you do on these trips?
We would spend a fair amount of time talking about what we were going to do at the next stop. You know, we worked a lot. Then we read a lot and we slept a lot. And we always cut out some time for card games.
I was going to ask you whether you do cards, and you beat me to the punch. What type of cards did you play?
Oh, hell and hearts.
Hearts. I used to play hearts. That's good. You said, was the Secret Service with you every time you went on these trips?
Every time.
Every time. Okay, good.
I have never signed off Secret Service protection.
Okay. Did the Secret Service, they screened all the other passengers and pilots, as far as you know?
They what?
Screen them?
Yeah, they have everybody's name and background and all that.
Okay. Now, I asked you about people who were connected to the foundation that you brought along, but I take it if they gave you an airplane and Jeffrey was on it, there were his staff too, correct?
Yeah, he had some staff on it.
Any of those people you remember, men, women?
Well, I remember Glenn was there and there were always the other people that staff the airplane, right?
Right. I think one of the reasons you're successful is you deal with the average guy, right? You like to talk to the average guy. Did you remember the names of any of the Epstein staffers that were, serving you or that you engaged with banter about?
Well, the one we just been talking about.
Shante Davis.
Yeah, Shante. I remember her. Shante Davis.
Okay. Anybody else you talked about? Where you're from?
Well, I talked to a lot of them. One of them was from Hawaii and was a military wife.
Okay.
I remember, but I don't remember their names after 20.
Hawaiian gal? Was she Asian?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Got a question. Were there ever new people that you remember joining in this is kind of spread out over 4 or 5 years? Or 2 or 3 years, I guess, 2 years on the flight. Did you ever get to the Virgin Islands other than on these planes? Have you ever been in the U.S. Virgin Islands in your life?
Oh, yes, I worked My foundation did a lot of work in the Virgin Islands.
And you also vacationed there as president.
Well, yeah, and when I was president, Hillary and I vacationed there, and we liked it very much.
Okay, after,
But when they had the hurricane in 2017, we went to the islands and tried to help. My foundation did,
okay,
and we did a lot of work there.
okay. We have another question. You know, when you read about this, and obviously these files have received a lot of public attention. Recently, a columnist pointed out that one of the reasons this human trafficking was allowed to exist is there were lawyers, sometimes high-priced lawyers, who were able to bring, I guess particularly from Eastern Europe, Eastern European girls through here, you know, negotiate the immigration laws and such. And particularly some very high-priced famous lawyers were hired, and apparently, I don't know, they couldn't find anything better to do when they left Washington, were engaged in helping, I guess, girls that some people alleged became prostitutes get here from Eastern Europe. Could you comment on lawyers who make money bringing girls from Eastern Europe or other places around the world into prostitution, coming to this country?
Sorry, I'm just to clarify, you just want him to comment on that?
Yeah, I want you to comment. What do you think of these people?
You're asking
I
his
don't
opinion.
like it.
What?
I don't like it, but I don't know much about it.
Would you think that, oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting the hook. You know how it is. Saved by the bell. Well, why don't I finish that question? Do you think if lawyers help legally or illegally, people come into this country for the purpose of prostitution, that they should be disbarred?
Not unless it's illegal to do it. If you pass a law which said it was illegal to provide representation, notwithstanding the constitutional right to
You
get
think they're
one,
sleazy lawyers if they
then
do it?
maybe
We
you
get you to
can.
say that? Sleazy lawyers? We'll say they're sleazy.
For the record, we think lawyers are fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
And lastly is Representative Langworthy from Buffalo.
That's right. We say Buffalo, not New York.
Oh.
I love Buffalo.
You were there the day after you were acquitted, I remember.
Yes, and 20,000 people feel the
It was
gem.
a big
I'll
crowd.
never forget it.
Big news. Thank you very much, President.
Never forget it.
You are widely regarded across party lines as one of the most politically perceptive leaders of modern time. Your political instincts are very well documented, and your successes of your political career are well documented. How would you describe the substance of your conversations with Jeffrey Epstein during the many hours that you spent together on the aircraft?
Well, at first, he really seemed to be like a vacuum cleaner, like he really wanted information. And there was no, to go back to the business with what do you call it, the passport, the false lane. There was nothing overtly manipulative about it. He wanted to know, what did I think of derivatives trading? Did I think that the stock market was properly regulated, or did it need more? How did we have the most broadly shared prosperity in 50 years? Was it just an accident? Was it just technology, or do we have specific policies? He wanted to know stuff like that. And it was great for the first, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 conversations. But I could tell that it was like, you guys are in politics. Don't you ever feel like sometimes somebody's talking to you and then they're just checking the box and they got to go do something else and be somebody else? That's the way I felt.
Interesting. The international travel you took with Mr. Epstein, it represented a significant investment of time and money on his behalf.
Yeah.
And I did miss the first portion of this. So if any of this is repetitive, I apologize. your arrangement was that you would spend an hour of conversation with him on topics of his choosing, and that's.
So he testified, just so that
I'm
you
sorry, I
know,
wasn't-
on economics and politics.
On economics and politics.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was it.
And that was the arrangement, and the rest was in-kind donation, the
For
flights.
all the long haul flights, yeah. If we were gone 4 hours or more, I'd give him an hour.
Okay. Did you ever ask him directly why he was willing to finance these trips and provide you with access to the plane?
I did.
So much. And what was his reaction to that
He
question?
said, I think you did a good job as president and you managed to get reelected, and you're the first Democrat in 60 years that got reelected. I want to know what happened. And I want to understand it. And that was it. And he never was, it was never like he was trying to suck up to me or anything. He just was, it was very straightforward. But after a while, it was obvious that he had done what he intended to do, and he was kind of going through the motions, and he didn't really care about what I really cared about this AIDS thing. I thought we had a chance to build something that would revolutionize the treatment of all mass illnesses. Same thing with tuberculosis and malaria, and sure enough, we did. But I thought we were on the verge of something big, and he didn't much care about it, and I had a bunch of people that did. So we went our different ways.
And as you pointed out, I mean, we're all in the political process, certainly not playing at the levels that you have in your career. But do you believe that this was, in essence, Epstein being a political junkie and looking for that association?
Yes, and I didn't know what else. All I knew was that but after we started, when I got this thing going and people could see it like a chugging engine, then we had more and more people interested in helping. And I wanted to have people there that I knew were genuinely caring. I know it sounds funny, but it matters, because when you start something like this, you're going to have rough spots, things are not going to go right. You're going to have to solve new problems. Far better to have people who are passionate about this.
So on these overseas visits, did Mr. Epstein accompany you to any of the meetings or the private dinners or the official engagements? And if he did, what capacity was he introduced?
He went to some of the meetings, and some of the dinners, but the big public dinner we did in South Africa, he did, for example. But some he didn't when it wasn't appropriate. When I had to talk to somebody about whether I thought they were following a proper legal path and trying to let us sell generic drugs and how we're going to get them. There were a lot of complicated things.
Can I get a time check?
We have like a minute left.
Did he ever seek introductions to foreign dignitaries or leaders from you?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Did he ever ask you to make phone calls on his behalf?
No, he never did. I remember that he didn't. I mean, I would remember.
You said he was not a friend, but with that amount of travel and proximity, why wasn't he a friend and he was just an acquaintance?
Well, no, it wasn't just an acquaintance either. I felt friendly toward him, but he was, as I said in my book, odd. There was always something a little holding back, and and I could tell. It was pretty strange the way it happened. Larry Summers, the president of Harvard, calls you out of the blue, says this guy wants to do it, you do it. And then I like to spend as much time as I can with people I know that I can count on. And honestly, I never saw anything that I knew was illegal, but I just felt I should move on, and we did.
Did you ever have any arguments or disagreements with Mr. Epstein or Miss Maxwell in the course of your travels?
Not to my knowledge.
And is there anything that you saw that he was looking to monetize the relationship that he had with you? Okay. And
Can I check the time?
I believe
Just
wait,
wait
wait.
seconds.
and my lawyers are going to kill me on this, but I have to say, I want to be honest. I'm not trying to be, goody two shoes here. I did feel closer to Ghislaine Maxwell because of Ted Wade. So I wasn't against the whole deal until I knew what they were doing.
Okay.
And by then it was too late for me to do anything about
But
it.
I think your response is was he trying to ever monetize the relation to your knowledge was
To
clear.
the best of my knowledge, he never did.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. President.
Thank you. We will go off the record.
We can go back on the record. Mr. President, I just have a few more questions. I'll try to be as efficient as possible as we move through them. One is moving back in time just a little bit. In 1996, Maria Farmer, who was a confirmed Epstein victim, submitted information to the FBI that Jeffrey Epstein was sexually abusing minors. During your presidency, were you ever made aware of the information that Maria Farmer provided to the FBI in 1996?
No, and no.
Thank you. I'm going to move back ahead to the year 2003. There's just one international trip that I don't think we've specifically discussed yet. And that was in November of 2003, a trip to, I think, Russia and China on Mr. Epstein's plane.
That's the last one I took.
Great. So I'm going to give you, I think for us, the last piece of paper for the day, which is the flight log for that trip. And we'll mark that as Minority Exhibit L. And I'll give you a moment to receive that.
Wow,
Thank you very much.
I'd forgotten I went to Russia.
You went through Russia.
Huh?
You went through Russia. You're coming from Norway.
Yeah,
And for your council, that's a total of 5 trips distributed between the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th here on this log.
yeah, this was another one of our AIDS trips because Ira was on it.
Yeah, so if you could just describe what you recall about the circumstances of this trip.
Can you refresh my memory about what stops were actually taken?
Yeah, the countries in question are Russia and China. I think the final stop was Beijing. I do not, off the top of my head, recall what each of these airport codes are.
It was Brussels to Oslo to Tolmagacho, Russia, to Hong Kong, Chengdu, Beijing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, let's do it again.
Brussels to Oslo, to the middle of Russia, Tolmachevo, to Hong Kong, to Chengdu, to Beijing.
Got it. We stopped in Europe, and as I remember, that we did something with Brussels as the parliamentary capital of Europe, and I think we did something with the EU, and then Oslo was important because the Norwegians had funded a project that we did for them, for the Clinton Foundation for Russia. And they asked us to try to develop a plan for Leningrad. And we did.
What kind of plan, Mr.
An
President?
AIDS plan, because Leningrad had a very high AIDS rate because it was near the ocean and people were coming in and out. And I think that's what happened then. And then we went to China, and I had been doing a lot of work on China, and it was very interesting because the Chinese were eager to get into this and yet scared. It was very interesting. We could have been, if you were in Russia and China, you could have been in rural America on AIDS at the time. They were very reluctant to discuss this, and all hung up about it. And the Chinese, with whom I had good relations, were at the time, were the national government asked me, they said they like you out in the country here. But I'd been there in 1998 and had a big trip. And he said, we want you to go out there and be photographed on state television playing with children and talking to their families about AIDS. So that's what this whole trip was about. So I was doing that. And it was, I think, I'm almost sure that's it, because, and then we stopped in Hong Kong on the way out, right?
Hong Kong invasion.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that context. Is it correct that while on that trip, you did not witness or become aware of sexual abuse of any kind?
No, we were all busy as crazy. I mean, I never saw anything like that.
Thank you. We have a few events for which we don't have exact dates. I'll ask about them one at a time. CNN has reported that in July of 2003, Ms. Maxwell co-hosted a fundraiser for your presidential library, and Mr. Epstein may have attended. We don't know whether or not you attended that event. Do you have any recollection of attending that event?
I don't. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember anything about it.
Thank you. An investigative journalist named Vicky Ward has claimed that Ms. Maxwell accompanied you on a trip to India sometime in 2003, including to the Taj Mahal, and that you traveled for that trip on a private jet owned by billionaire Ron Burkle. Do you have any recollection of the trip I just described?
No. But I want to be forthright here. The first thing I did in the way of public service after I left office was to try to help India deal with the aftermath of the Gujarat earthquake, which happened literally 4 days after I gave up the White House. And so I called the Prime Minister of India, who was a friend of mine, and he said, I need help. I've got to build schools and hospitals, and I can't do anything in the small towns and the middle-sized towns and the rural areas. I only have the money to do something in the big cities. So I'm not saying I did or didn't do this. I have no memory. But I also I don't want to mislead anybody. We were doing tons of stuff, and we needed to finance it. So I can't say that I didn't do it.
Thank you. In your 2024 memoir, you said that by the time Epstein was arrested in 2005, that you had stopped contact with him. When do you recall being the last time that you had any kind of communication with Mr. Epstein?
The last time I remember was with him was sometime in 2003.
Attorney Brad Edwards, that's an attorney who's represented many of Mr. Epstein's survivors.
Excuse me, counsel, I believe there was a misstatement there. The book says who in 2008 had been convicted and jailed in Florida, not 2005.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Attorney Brad Edwards has represented many of Mr. Epstein's survivors. He claimed in a 2011 filing that he believed the Justice Department possessed some kind of correspondence from you from 2007 or 2008 on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. At any of the various points when Mr. Epstein was under investigation, did you or any of your representatives ever submit any correspondence to the Department of Justice on his behalf?
I have no memory of that.
To your recollection or knowledge, did you or your representatives ever have any other communication with the Department of Justice regarding Jeffrey Epstein?
Not that I remember, no.
CNN has reported that in 2007, Ms. Maxwell co-hosted a fundraiser for Secretary Clinton's presidential campaign in New York City. We believe that Christina Aguilera may have performed at that event. Do you have any knowledge or recollection of attending that event?
I don't.
There was an email released as part of the DOJ files recently that suggested you may have attended a party at Ghislaine Maxwell's home in October of 2009, and that publicist Peggy Siegel, as well as Jeff Bezos, may have attended. My only question to you is whether you have any recollection of attending a party that I just described.
Is this her home in New York City?
It would be at Ms. Maxwell's home in New York City.
I have no memory of that at all.
Thank you. It's been widely reported that in July of 2010, Ms. Maxwell attended your daughter Chelsea's wedding in Rhinebeck, New York, and that she accompanied billionaire Ted Waite, who was, at least at the time, a family friend of yours, and you've described a little bit today. You, of course, were at that wedding as well. Do you have any specific recollection of interacting with Ms. Maxwell at that wedding?
No, I was an emotional wreck. I was just trying not to fall off the little, what do you call the pallets?
The dais?
No, the wooden, we walked on the grass with. I knew she was there, and she and Ted were there.
And what was your understanding of her relationship with Mr. Waite at the time?
So long. Wow, he must be
Well, I thought they were together, and I think Chelsea and Mark did too, and
embarrassing.
there.
It's also been reported that in 2011, your advisor, Doug Band, instructed an aide to remove Ms. Maxwell from all attendance-related lists for Clinton-related events. This was reportedly in the wake of Virginia Roberts Giuffre and allegations that she made at the time against many people, including Ms. Maxwell. Do you have any memory or knowledge of Mr. Band's instructions that I just described?
I don't.
Thank you. That takes us through most of the known timeline of your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. There's just one more topic I would like to cover. That is the Clinton Global Initiative. In 2007, Mr. Epstein's lawyers claimed that he was part of the original group that conceived the Clinton Global Initiative. Would you agree with that characterization?
No.
Can you elaborate a little bit on why you would not agree with that?
I wouldn't agree with that because the first time I ever discussed what became the Clinton Global Initiative was with Doug Band and the rest of our small group on the way back from Davos. And Doug said he wanted we should have a meeting like this in New York at the opening of the UN. And we can make a lot of money because you don't have to go to Davos you can meet all these people that we hear. And I said, I want to do it for an entirely different reason. It's fine if we make money, but the most important thing is that we give serious people a chance to go to meetings and actually make commitments to make positive change. I'm tired of going to meetings where everybody just bloviates and doesn't ever do a damn thing. So if we can figure out how to do that, I'm interested. And then we got, a team. There was, to operationalize it, it was Doug Band, Mary Morrison, who had worked for me in the inner office at the White House, and a man named Ed Hughes, who was a wonderful young guy who stayed with us the whole 12 years. And they were working on how to stand up and do the mechanics of this. Then my job was to try to get some people who would come that people would want to hear and see, and try to, make it exciting and make people actually want to make commitments. And so I think it was at that point that Ghislaine may have gotten involved. I don't know. You can ask them about it, but I'm just telling you how it began. It began with Doug said, let's do this and make money, and me saying, let's do this and make commitments.
I think the question, Mr. President, which you've answered was Jeffrey Epstein involved in the?
At the time, no, not at all.
Thank you.
But I do not know what happened afterward.
It has been publicly reported that in 2006, Mr. Epstein made a $25,000 donation to the Clinton Foundation. Do you have any specific knowledge or recollection of that donation?
No, I saw it I saw that it was reported. I don't know.
Thank you. With respect to Ms. Maxwell, and you just touched on it briefly, she told DOJ last July that she was, quote, very central to the startup of the Clinton Global Initiative. Would you agree with that characterization?
I would agree that she worked hard. I now know. I didn't at the time, because I was working on the other, as I explained, I was working on a whole other part of this.
If I could ask you to limit your answer to your knowledge at the time.
At the time, I did not know it.
Thank you. The New York Times recently reported that in 2004, Ms. Maxwell arranged a $1 million payment to an events company called Publicis Group, and that the payment may have had some connection with the first Clinton Global Initiative conference in 2005. The reporting suggests that Mr. Epstein may have been involved with the payment or somehow aware of the payment. Do you have any specific memory or knowledge or recollection of the $1 million payment I just described?
No.
It's also been reported that in September of 2013, at a Clinton Global Initiative conference, Ms. Maxwell was recognized as a Commitment to Action partner for her work on behalf of the Terramar Project, which was an ocean conservation nonprofit that she founded in 2012. Do you have any memory or knowledge of that conference?
I do.
Great. Could you describe a little bit what you recall?
Yeah, because this shows you how the CGI work, not for Ghislaine, for everybody. She was still with Ted Wade, and he was still heavily involved in ocean work. So that was sort of an incentive, but she had organized this group.
But what a time to be alive, guys.
Whose objective was to, in effect, take two massive islands made of metal and junk out of the Atlantic. I mean, they were floating around. One of them had gotten to the Caribbean. They were floating around and all this metal. So that was what she was trying to do. That was a good idea, and she was recognized for that. The fact that she was recognized was not particularly remarkable. Everybody who makes a commitment goes through a photo line and gets recognized.
Did you have any personal role in Ms. Maxwell's recognition at that event? Or would that have
No, I
been-
might have been in her room by the time she got it, but it was, no, they put the recognition in that room. I remember this specifically because
I remember
it was where all the ocean folks were, all the people that cared about this, that wanted to be. So that's why they wanted those things announced.
By
there.
ocean freaks, you mean people who are passionate about the ocean.
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean that. People who were passionate about doing this, it was great. And so I didn't think a thing about it.
Do you have any additional knowledge or recollection related to Ms. Maxwell's role at that event?
No,
Reportedly, in February of 2014, you had dinner with Ms. Maxwell and others in Los Angeles at a vegan restaurant called Crossroads Kitchen. That dinner may have been organized by your then Deputy Chief of Staff, John Davidson, perhaps around 20 guests. Do you have any recollection of the dinner I just described?
I had a lot of dinners like that in Los Angeles, so I don't remember that specific one, but whenever I went to Los Angeles, I tended to have a dinner someplace in public with a lot of my friends, just to keep in touch with them, keep going.
As far as you can recall, when was the last time you had any form of communication with Ms. Maxwell?
I think it must be a decade ago, it may be even longer, I don't know, but it was a long time.
Thank you.
Mr. President, it's a pleasure to be here and quickly, on a lighter note, point of personal privilege. My birthday is November 5th, 1974, which shouldn't mean anything to you. But what it means is that I turned 18 2 days after the election and I couldn't vote, and I'm still upset about that. So on behalf of my mom, I apologize. She was a little slow. President Clinton, as counsel noted at the beginning of this deposition, Donald Trump posted on social media that he wanted Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate you and other prominent Democrats in order to distract from his own close ties to Jeffrey Epstein. That post was previously marked as Minority Exhibit B, which you already have.
Yep.
President Trump's post refers to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes against young girls and women as the Epstein hoax. His post also completely ignores several other high-profile individuals, including Republicans and allies of President Trump, who were known to have had relationships with Epstein. In fact, the Epstein files contain numerous officials in the current and previous Trump administrations who have connections to Jeffrey Epstein, including Howard Lutnick, RFK Jr., Steve Bannon, Tom Barrett, Kevin Warsh, and Mehmet Oz, to name a few. President Clinton, to your knowledge, has the Trump administration done anything at all to investigate these other individuals with ties to Epstein?
Well, I wouldn't be in a position to know. That's the truth. As I said earlier, the only conversation I had with President Trump about this was in the early 2000s. And I have no information that he did anything wrong. I just want it all out there. I want everybody to get it all out there and let everybody see where we are.
And had you had any conversations with him since the early 2000s about this subject matter?
No.
And then my last question is, Howard Lutnick recently went so far as to lie about his close connections with Jeffrey Epstein, but the truth came out with the release of the files. President Clinton, is Howard Lutnick still employed as Secretary of Commerce in the Trump administration, to your knowledge?
I think he is.
And in your opinion, why has Donald Trump ignored these other prominent figures who've had close ties to Epstein?
He's asking your opinion, Mr. President.
Lutnick runs a big company and has made a lot of money and has supported him strongly. I don't think he believes that he's done anything bad enough I think he thinks he took his family to the island and he couldn't have done anything wrong. That's what I think he thinks. But I'm speculating. I'm doing what I have no business doing because I really don't know.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Can
Thank you. I'll speak up. Thank you, Mr. President, for being here, for your service. I'll be brief. I think most of the pertinent questions have been asked today. I want to talk about transparency. You and Secretary Clinton were both very clear about your desire to testify publicly before this committee. In fact, on February 6, 2026, you posted on social media, quote, "I will not sit idly as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican Party running scared. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this the right way in a public hearing where the American people can see for themselves what this is really about." President Clinton, why do you feel it is important for you to testify before this committee in a public setting?
Because I think that first, what happened with Jeffrey Epstein was horrible. What he did and what Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of, it was horrible. We can't tolerate it in America and shouldn't. We ought to keep doing as Hillary talked about yesterday, trying our part to get rid of that kind of trafficking around the world. Secondly, I was on the plane. It may be that I've said something today that gave you some indication that would help change policies or something. So I thought it was important. But I also think people know that there's been a little bit of zig and zag and ambivalence about, how hard this thing should be put out there. And I'm not pointing a finger at anybody, I'm just saying we know that. And so I think it's important that we get it all out.
So to be clear, this committee issued a subpoena to the Department of Justice to release the full and unredacted files last summer. There's also now the Epstein Files Transparency Act that asked for the same that President Donald Trump signed into law. But still, the Department of Justice under this administration has not released all of the files, and there's been many illegal redactions. Do you think that we, of course, as Congress and the American public should get the full and unredacted files immediately?
I think unless there is some serious danger of physical harm to one of the victims, or some national security interest involving intelligence. Because you've heard these, that some of you think that there's some intelligence issues, national security issues. I think the rest of it ought to be gotten out. And I think we just need to get to a point where we can put this behind us. And then I think I hope you can and will help build us a system that works in America the way our international system works best in trying to identify and stop human trafficking and trying to make people whole once they've been damaged.
And not a question, but just in response, the law is very clear about the identities of the victims.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Department of Justice has wrongfully released some of that information, including personally identifiable information, while illegally redacting names of potential co-conspirators. So
They're going to kill me for saying this, but I think it's important to see. I think it is entirely possible that people in the Justice Department, I don't agree with on nearly anything, right? But when it's possible that they didn't intentionally cover some of this stuff up, but it's hard to accept that when you look at the other problems in dealing with the information. So you guys got to clear that up, clean it up, decide how you think it should be handled.
This guy.
thank you.
We're gonna move to Hillary Rodham Clinton.
So before we go off the record, just one clarification. It's more just for councils. The quote from the 2024 memoir, I think was accurately quoted in the first instance. I knew nothing about it. And by the time he was first arrested in 2005, I had stopped contact with him. And that's the end of the sentence. That's page 373. So that's just for council and
My apology.
oh, not at all. And with that, we can end this round and go off the record.
Now it's over. Bam. Okay. Wonderful. Now we go to Hillary Rodham Clinton. She is such a witch, dude. I'm telling you, she's a here we go. Let's go. This is where we play the best videos, guys, the best media. We don't put no bullshit up. We put the real shit, you know what I mean, that we need to watch. The American people need to be aware of what we put up on the air and we talk about.
So that the witness both could hear the different members who are here, and certainly you all, as you all are asking questions, but also so that the witness herself could hear. In a construct where you all now have videotape, it seems as though being able to provide that amplification to ensure we're heard would be relevant and important. We recognize that there was concern, at least initially expressed to us, that the court reporters might not be able to conduct their duties efficiently. They indicated that they could do so. So that was not actually an issue. And I think in the end, what we wanted to ensure is that there's clear amplification, not only of our own witness, but of all of the members who have traveled so far, to be able to ensure that everyone could be heard and that clear answers are given to questions.
And I want to again state for the record, the microphones provided by the Clintons became an issue for the audio recording. So we want crystal clear audio and visuals of today's proceedings. So the microphones were removed. We'll take into account tomorrow. And I know many of us are hard hearing, so we want to make sure that everyone speaks loudly and all the questions are clearly understood. We'll do everything we can to accommodate that.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Nothing further. We'll begin. Good morning. This is a deposition of former Secretary of State Hillary R. Clinton conducted by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform under the authority granted to it pursuant to House Rule 10. Accordingly, House Rule 10 grants the committee broad jurisdiction for the committee to conduct investigations of any matter at any time. On July 23rd, 2025, the Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform voted by voice to approve a motion directing the chairman to authorize and issue a subpoena to you for a deposition. On August 5th, 2025, Chairman Comer issued a subpoena for Secretary Clinton to appear today for a deposition in furtherance of the committee's investigation into the actions and investigations of Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell. I will enter the original subpoena and corresponding cover letter from August 5, 2025, as well as the additional subpoena from December 15, 2025, determining a new date as Exhibit 1.
Excuse me, counsel. For the record, I want to put in one sentence from the cover letter to the subpoena, and that's the chairman's own definition of the scope of this investigation. He wrote, and I quote, "It's to conduct oversight of the federal government's enforcement of sex trafficking laws generally, and specifically its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell." Thank you.
As stated in the email correspondence with counsel for Secretary Clinton in negotiations for the scope regarding today's deposition, the scope agreed upon by counsel for the committee and counsel for Secretary Clinton stated, and I quote, "As conveyed to you in a letter from the chairman yesterday morning that you agreed to, the committee could not accept your proposed limitation on the scope of President Clinton's testimony. Accordingly, pursuant to the committee's investigation into the alleged mismanagement of the federal government's investigation into Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell, the circumstances and subsequent investigations of Mr. Epstein's death, the operation of sex trafficking rings and ways of the federal government to effectively combat them, ways in which Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell sought to curry favor and exercise influence to protect their legal activities, and potential violations of ethics rules related to elected officials, the committee will ask President Clinton and Secretary Clinton all of its questions regarding Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, including, but not limited to, the personal relationships between the Clintons and Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell, and the ways in which Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell sought to curry favor and exercise influence, as well as the operation of sex trafficking rings and the ways for the federal government to effectively combat them without the proposed limitations on scope sought in your January 31, 2026 letter.
I will enter as Exhibit 2 the correspondence between Chairman Comer and counsel for President Clinton and Secretary Clinton. This correspondence includes the following letters. October 6, 2025, letter from David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia. October 22, 2025, letter from Chairman Comer to David E. Kendall. November 3, 2025, letter from David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia. November 21, 2025, letter from Chairman Comer to David E. Kendall. December 10, 2025, letter from David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia. December 15, 2025, letter from Chairman Comer to David E. Kendall. January 3, 2026, letter from David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia. January 8, 2026, letter from Chairman Comer to David E. Kendall. January 12, 2026, letter from Ashley Callan and David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer. January 13, 2026, letter from President William J. Clinton and Secretary Hillary R. Clinton to Chairman Comer, encompassing attached declarations under the penalty of perjury of both President Clinton and Secretary Clinton. January 20, 2026, letter from Ashley Callan and David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer. January 31, 2026, letter from Ashley Callan and Catherine M. Turner to Chairman Comer. And February 2, 2026, letter from Chairman Comer to Ashley Callan and Catherine M. Turner. The committee originally noticed the deposition on December 12, 2025 for Secretary Clinton to appear before the committee on December 18, 2025. I will mark that notice as Exhibit 3. I will mark as Exhibit 4 the postponed notice date, December 16, 2025, for a deposition of Secretary Clinton to occur on January 14, 2026. Secretary Clinton did not appear for her deposition on January 14, 2026. I will enter as Exhibit 5 the transcript for the deposition for which Secretary Clinton failed to appear. The committee noticed a committee business meeting on January 14, 2026 to consider the contempt report for Secretary Hillary R. Clinton to be held on January 21st, 2026. I will mark that notice as Exhibit 6. I will mark as Exhibit 7 the contempt report for Secretary Hillary R. Clinton voted favorably out of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. I will mark as Exhibit 8 the final roll call vote sheet on favorably reporting the contempt report of Secretary Hillary R. Clinton out of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. The committee noticed today's deposition on February 19, 2026. I will enter the notice for this deposition as Exhibit 9. I will enter as Exhibit 10 an email thread between Committee on Oversight and Government Reform staff and staff and counsel for President Clinton and Secretary Clinton. The email thread confirms the date, time, and location, among other terms, of today's deposition. Additionally, this email thread clearly states the agreed upon terms, including but not limited to video recording, no predetermined time limit, and scope. Can the witness please state her name for the record?
Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you. My name is Billy Grant. I am the Deputy Chief Counsel for Investigations for Chairman James Comer. Under the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform's rules, you are allowed to have counsel present to advise you during this deposition. Do you have counsel representing you in a personal capacity present with you today?
I do.
Will all counsel please identify themselves for the record?
David Kendall, Williams and Connolly, LLP.
Catherine Turner, Williams and Connolly, LLP.
Cheryl Mills, Counsel to the Secretary.
Thank you. For the record, starting with the majority staff, can the additional staff members please introduce themselves with their name, title, and affiliation?
Jack Emmer, Chief Counsel for Investigations for Chairman Comer.
Peter Spector, Deputy Director of Oversight for Chairman Comer.
Daniel Ashworth, General Counsel for Chairman Comer.
Ryan Giacchetti, Chief Counsel for Chairman Comer.